Welcome to the webinar. You have entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Webinar. I'll take note of the questions, and considering the discussion will be around 35 minutes, I'll capture these questions and we'll open up for Q&A at the end. In addition to myself, I'm joined today by Justin Morrow. He's our Senior Solutions Consultant. He will drive the discussion related to Magento's technology and architecture. So today's webinar is all about educating you on our industry-leading solution, Magento Enterprise Edition, and how it can advance your business. As you can see from the agenda, we're going to start with a platform introduction. We'll then move on to review the Magento software architecture. We'll then talk about Magento's modularity and the use of extensions. And then we'll proceed to talk about some of the various integration methods. Some of the other topics that we'll include are related to theming, multi-site management, and internationalization. So with that, I'll turn the presentation over to Justin to talk about the Magento technology and architecture stack. Justin?
Thanks, Brian. So let's go ahead and kick off our webinar today by starting with a brief platform introduction. Magento Enterprise Edition is the next generation in digital commerce. It has been designed to help you take advantage of opportunities faster than ever before and win in an increasingly competitive global market by delivering enterprise-level scale and support for global expansion, unmatched agility to quickly adapt to changing market trends and dynamics, plus provides you with the ability to more efficiently manage and optimize marketing, merchandising, and operations to drive sales. Finally, the ability to continuously and cost-effectively innovate to drive your business forward from utilizing new functionality in our platform upgrades to new turnkey extensions and connectors available in the market. Let's explore the key features of our Magento Edition. They really fall into 4 categories: engaging customer experiences that help you increase sales, an intuitive merchant experience to help efficiently manage your business, modern platform architecture to enable fast, flexible, and affordable development, and finally, enterprise performance and scale to meet customer expectations and support business growth. Today's session will focus on the modern platform architecture, enterprise scale, and performance. For more information about how Magento can create an engaging shopping experience and provide an intuitive merchant experience, please attend one of our live weekly Magento Enterprise demonstrations. Let's now talk about the modern platform architecture. The modern architecture offers incredible flexibility along with much faster time to market, easier and more cost-effective customization, reduced ongoing maintenance, and even easier upgrades. Magento Enterprise Edition is more flexible and customizable than ever. For example, we've made the code base much more modular and introduced new service contracts with stable interfaces to business logic. This improves your ability to make fine-grained customizations or completely replace core functionality without the worry of disrupting other parts of the application. We've also added new APIs for promotions and taxes, as well as integration-style APIs that improve efficiency by reducing the number of calls you need to make. API performance is also greatly improved. Magento Enterprise Edition 2.0 is a modern, mature solution that uses proven frameworks and coding patterns and adheres to an industry-standard coding standards, which makes it more accessible to developers and more efficient for them to use. We also fully support PHP 7. This is great news because PHP 7 offers significant performance improvements, drastically reduces memory consumption, and offers brand new language features as well. In addition to support for PHP 7, we're natively supporting Varnish and our merchants' flexibility in how they serve content from Magento. Finally, we've implemented a few new technologies to greatly increase the stability and testability of your Magento application. For example, Composer is now used to manage module installation and configuration, which allows for dependencies to these points. This greatly reduces the number of conflictions between extensions and makes upgrading individual modules much easier. In addition to making many back-end architectural changes, we've also updated the front end with the latest and greatest client-side technologies. We've migrated from Prototype, our previous JavaScript library, to the more common and recognizable jQuery, and also optimized asset loading via the powerful require.js framework. These technologies work together to create our entirely responsive reference theme, in which we will discuss a little later on in the presentation. Now that we've explored the platform at a very high level, let's start to dive a little deeper. Let's take a closer look at the software architecture itself. Before we dive into our software architecture section, let's examine the high-level architectural principles that make Magento. The four primary principles we'll be discussing today are model view controller, event-driven architecture, advanced application layering, and database persistence. These industry standard design patterns allow for maximum flexibility and extensibility while allowing you to design and implement a highly customized, scalable website. If we examine the diagram on the right, you can easily see that Magento architecture is highly organized. The middle portion highlights the internal architectural components, which are comprised of the presentation layer, the service layer, and the domain layer. Additionally, Magento offers many ways for customers and other applications to seamlessly interact with the platform. These are represented above and below the diagram and include the API, web services, and import-export. Finally, Magento Enterprise comes natively with a message bus that allows for even greater scalability, especially during peak traffic. Let's explore our architectural principles a little more in depth, starting with the tried and tested model view controller pattern. The primary function of this architectural approach is to separate the presentation layer, business logic, and data access. Here are the key benefits of the MVC design pattern. We're going to eliminate that spaghetti code scenario in which you fix one feature and another breaks as a result. We're going to create highly reusable snippets of code and lower overall development time. We're going to decrease the effort involved with troubleshooting errors, which leads to increased uptime. And finally, it's a widely adopted architectural pattern that most developers are familiar with already. The Magento framework also includes two additional layers of organization that reduce the complexity of development. These are called blocks and resource models. Blocks are PHP objects that are designed to help developers quickly organize multiple templates within a page. Resource models are simply used to quickly and safely interact with Magento database. Let's take a moment to walk through this diagram, starting from the left. The user agent, which is likely a customer accessing the site, will request a URL in Magento. From there, Magento will examine the URL with its parameters and choose to either immediately render output for display via the view or request more information from the model. The model then interacts with the resource model, which is connected directly to the database and retrieves the data requested for processing. After Magento has retrieved this data, the data is processed, formatted, and displayed to the user agent via the view. Now that we've examined the MVC pattern and how important it is to separate the presentation layer, business access layer, and data layer, let's discuss another key architectural advantage of the Magento application, events. The Magento application consists of thousands of predefined events that developers can simply listen to and act upon without interrupting the natural flow of the application. This greatly increases overall application stability and dramatically reduces the amount of code needed to implement customization. To better illustrate this concept, let's use our graphic above. In this graphic, a developer may simply listen to the checkout, cart, add, product, complete event, call an inventory system, determine if a product is actually in stock, and then either allow that product to be added to the cart or present a new message stating when it will be back in stock. By using the event-driven architecture to develop this feature, the entire checkout process remains untouched while dynamically introducing a customization into the system. Continuing our discussion around Magento's architectural principles, let's explore Magento's layers by going a bit more granular. In addition to separating the presentation, business, and data layers via the MVC architecture, Magento also has layers that serve as an additional development entry point. For example, the presentation layer consists of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, as well as a modular approach to theming that is organized into layouts, blocks, and this additional granularity provides developers and merchants with greater control over the look and feel of the website. Additionally, Magento provides a robust service layer that better isolates code and increases overall API stability. The service layer also simplifies interaction with third-party systems by reducing the amount of code needed to interact externally. Finally, the domain layer allows for simplified interactions to the database and data models without having to update the database directly and risk corrupting tables. If we revisit that diagram on the right, you'll notice that these components make up the core Magento architecture. As we near the end of our architectural principles discussion, let's take a moment to discuss database persistence. Database persistence is a crucial component in delivering outstanding performance of the application, especially while under load. The Magento application leverages the powerful EAV model to allow developers and merchants to quickly interject complex data into Magento without changing the database schema. This component drives the powerful attribute system as well as many other features in Magento. Additionally, Magento supports separate master databases for the catalog, orders, and checkout, which significantly increases application stability under load. All right, let's continue our session today by exploring modularity and extensions with Magento. Magento is a highly modular platform constructing sites from a series of interlocking components. Maximizing extensibility has been the goal through all aspects of Magento development, and merchants can expand their storefront features in a variety of ways. You also have the ability to add new or replace existing modules. Those modules can be from third-party developers to our marketplace, which we'll talk about in a moment, or they can be custom-created modules specifically for your unique business needs. Looking at the slide in a little more detail, within Magento, there are 3 types of modular components. Modules, which provide business logic, themes, which really change the look and feel of the website, and finally language packs, which are needed to translate a site for internationalization. So Marketplace allows merchants to instantly extend the default Magento feature set. Let's discuss extensions a little more in depth in the next slide. Look at our diagram on the right. You'll notice that each individual module within the system can independently interact with each of the primary layers within Magento. This allows for complete module independence, which enables merchants to quickly enable or disable modules without disrupting the uptime of the workers. I'll leave that diagram up there for one moment so we can digest it. All right, moving along here. So extensions are simply modules that have been prepackaged by our partners and can be installed directly into Magento to instantly extend the Magento feature set. These extensions are one of the key components in providing quick time to market for our merchants. In our newly launched Magento Marketplace, we've introduced a series of automated code reviews that evaluate every single submitted extension for security, scalability, and plagiarism before being available for purchase. Also, Marketplace users will be able to provide reviews and post questions directly to the extension developer to create an ecosystem of quality and support for Magento merchants. As you can see, it's really easy to install an extension. However, there are some scenarios that may be unique to your business, and Magento offers fast, flexible development paths to quickly implement those customizations. Generally speaking, the majority of Magento implementations will consist of about 80% out-of-the-box functionality, 10% extensions from the marketplace, and 10% customizations unique to your individual business. In our modular code base, service contracts and other architectural features make it simpler to understand module interactions and provide single points for customization. It's also easier to swap out core modules in Magento like search or tax calculation. These capabilities greatly reduce the risk of breakage when upgrading and adding functionality. They will also give you the freedom to upgrade more frequently so you can take advantage of all of our new upcoming innovation for the enterprise platform. Moving along here, since testing is an important stage of any development lifecycle, Magento Enterprise Edition also features an automated testing framework that enables you to use a test-driven development approach for faster time to market. The framework includes hundreds of unit, integration, functional, performance, and even other types of tests to help you ensure high-quality releases. You can also easily use the framework to create your own tests as well, which leads to more stability while launching new features. Now that we've reviewed modularity and extensions, let's move onwards towards integration. As we discussed earlier, the Magento architecture is focused on extensibility and integration. There are multiple architectural components that make it easy to interact with Magento. The most common means of interaction or integration is through the Magento API. Magento API is very robust and quickly enables an integration to an existing OMS, ERP, PIM solution, or even a warehouse management solution. Just like previous versions, Magento provides full support for REST and SOAP, and recently introduced an admin interface for managing integration access points and permissions. This is very important when working with a distributed team consisting of outside vendors. Merchants can now quickly allow or deny access to third-party systems without development or systems administrator interaction. If we explore our diagram to the right, you'll notice the primary integration point is via the API, which is represented at the very top of the diagram. Once the API has been queried, Magento will relay the request to internal web API endpoints, which may additionally reference interfaces and modules within the system. Magento API is fully documented and empowers developers to quickly interact with the following data. Catalog. This is going to allow you to manage all of your category and product data. Inventory. This can be used to update inventory from a third-party system, for example. Customers. This is going to allow you to add or remove or update any sort of customer data. Orders. This is very useful when actually being used to create new orders or even update existing orders based on another system you have in place, such as an OMS or a ERP. You can actually control website stores and store views. This can be very useful when creating new website stores or store views from the API. And finally, checkout. This is going to allow you to process promotions or quickly create these embedded type checkouts. Finally, you can easily create your own. The entire API has been fully documented online. It can be viewed from our new DevDocs portal. That can be reached at devdocs.magento.com. This is a great place to start with developing for the Magento application. All right, so moving right along here. Although the API is the most common means of integrating into Magento, there are additional functionalities available that allow for the import and export of data without development or technical knowledge at all. From the Magento administration panel, business users can very easily import and export things like products, which may include advanced pricing, inventory, etc. Customer data, which may actually include finances, addresses, or even custom customer attribute data that you have defined. And finally, tax rates. Additionally, you can actually schedule all of these imports to be executed on a recurring standpoint directly from the Magento administration or the Magento administration panel. These data points are done via FTP or the local server. Finally, Magento offers an iOS and Android SDK that can be leveraged to quickly create native apps that interact with the Magento store. These SDKs can be downloaded directly from a merchant portal and include a working reference application with predefined integration points around catalog, customer, promotions, and the checkout. If you'd like to see more, please download the Magento app from the Apple App Store. Now let's review the topic of theming, which controls the look and feel of your website. Magento ensures shoppers have a consistent experience no matter how they access the site by providing a responsive design reference theme you can leverage to quickly create a seamless experience across all devices and channels. This responsive reference theme also includes the following. Sample data. That sample data may actually include products of every type, sample categories, sample customers, and even complex sample orders for you to work with. It's also going to include dynamic content widgets, in addition to reusable responsive markup, and finally imagery. In addition to the above features, business administrators also have complete control over the site layout via the administration panel or layout XML. The responsive reference theme and the above-mentioned sample data allow merchants to go to the market much quicker than anticipated and actually accelerates learning in the platform. For example, the Magento sample data includes products of every type which can be valuable while learning how to create your own unique products in Magento. In addition to responsive themes out of the box, we've also simplified the front-end customization process with a multi-level theme inheritance framework. Multi-level theme inheritance lets you create a new theme by specifying changes to an inherited base theme which simplifies customization and reduces the amount of code duplication. And from a business perspective, this means it's much faster to create theme variations for multiple brands, international expansion, and even seasonal campaigns. Let me go back one slide. Here's an example of how the Luma site was easily customized for the German market in a new brand vignette. All right, so as we start to wrap up our presentation today, let's end with a look into the multi-site and internationalization capabilities of Magento. The Magento multi-site functionality gives merchants the ability to quickly launch, quickly launch new websites, stores, and store views directly from the administration panel. Let's better understand this feature in regards to a typical multi-site hierarchy example. Websites are typically used for entirely unique top-level domains or subdomains. In our diagram above, we're actually managing two websites. One, Luma Brands, is acting as an umbrella website for an apparel store and an exercise equipment store. The other, Vinya, is acting as a standalone website with its own unique domain and catalog. Stores in Magento are typically used to offer unique catalogs within a website. As you can see, we have two stores defined with the Luma Brands website. These stores could easily represent different catalogs or products available. For example, a primary catalog that all customers can view and a wholesale catalog that is only visible by a particular customer group. Store views are typically used to offer unique styling, translations, and currencies in relationship to a store. In our diagram, we're leveraging store views to enable multiple languages in each store. Although this is a common usage of each iteration, it is by no means the only supported hierarchy. Magento multi-site functionality is used creatively by the majority of our successful enterprise customers, actually. Excuse me. So as we mentioned earlier, the multi-site architecture empowers a wide variety of website configuration. For example, merchants can also configure separate shipping and payment methods, promotions, customers, and pricing from a centralized location. They can even launch new languages and currencies directly from the administration panel. And finally, they can use a default configuration to lower overall setup time. All right, moving on. Furthermore, merchants can also create a deeper connection with your customers by providing unique per-brand theming. They can also lower content management time by sharing content across all the websites. Finally, they can leverage the cascading design architecture that supports fallbacks, which allow for new themes or skins to be created quickly without starting from scratch. Another very common usage of Magento's multi-site architecture is to quickly launch into new geographies and support additional languages and currencies. Magento empowers merchants to support multiple languages and translations. One installation can very easily support many languages and many translations. Translate every single line of text. And finally, even define multiple currencies and a daily exchange rate that is dynamically calculated. All right, so we've covered a lot today, so let's recap what we've learned here. We started our journey today by exploring the Magento architecture. Hopefully we can all better understand how Magento leverages a series of sophisticated, organized components to deliver a highly modular and scalable e-commerce platform. We also took a look at modularity in Magento and explored how easy it is to quickly enable new functionality within Magento by simply installing extensions from our marketplace. Furthermore, we've explored how easy it is to integrate to Magento via the API or even import-export. Finally, we've examined how merchants can quickly and easily launch into new geographies or create new brands by leveraging the cascading design system and multi-site functionalities. It's been a pleasure presenting to you all today. We'll now open it up for some brief Q&A.
All right, Justin, thanks for the discussion. And as you mentioned, now let's jump into Q&A. Feel free to use the question window or the question module to post any questions. I'll go ahead and accept them and present them to Justin. So we'll go ahead and take a minute and let everyone pose a couple questions.
Great. Thanks, Brian.
All right, Justin, our first question.
All right.
Why did you stick with the XML configuration pattern when rewriting Magento instead of utilization of something more like Rails convention over configuration ideology?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, I think underneath the hood, at least from my experience, that they're going to share a lot of the similar concepts. Honestly, Magento is just really, or Magento 2.0 was more of a maturation of the Magento 1 platform. And you got to keep in mind, we still have a lot of successful Magento 1.x enterprise customers as well. And, we kind of made a choice internally to stick with that XML configuration over kind of a new technology in that regard, just to really make it easier for our merchants that are on the 1x platform to easily migrate to the 2.x platform. I think when you really look underneath the hood, though, at the end of the day, they're really going to achieve just about the same thing, at least from my experience.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Next question. Can you talk a little bit about the quote-unquote per-user theme / personalization capability?
Sure. So there's a few different ways we can talk about that. In regards to a per-user theme, Magento really doesn't do it at that level, but what Magento Enterprise offers as a unique advantage is the concept of curated, personalized content. Now, this is something that is unique to the Enterprise platform. And for example, you may have one theme, but then within that theme, you have a few different customer segments. Magento Enterprise allows you to define these customer segments, and they could very easily be someone who has looked at a certain set of products, maybe someone who has spent a certain amount of money on the website, maybe someone who has let us know in a survey that they, or a mail, their date of birth is this date, or, they have a particular preference. So Magento Enterprise has an entire system of personalization that allows you to capture this customer data. Now, after you've captured that customer data, you can actually start to use the default Magento Enterprise CMS widget system to create a curated experience just for those customers. So for example, if I log into a Magento Enterprise website as a guest, I maybe would get a pretty generalized set of content, a pretty generalized set of banners and images and things like that. But if I had actually placed a few orders before, and as a merchant, I've defined a few segment points, like for example, male or female, how many things have they purchased on the website before, what do they typically purchase, what categories are their favorites. I can actually generate a really good set of curated content to be displayed dynamically to just that set of customers. So really that's the Magento Enterprise approach. It doesn't mean you couldn't create actual individual themes for customers, but with the introduction of segmentation to your typical workflow, I think you'll find it is actually much easier to maintain, and there's really no code needed to create that curated experience. That's a great question, by the way. That's actually one of the key differentiators with the Magento Enterprise platform. That's one of those features that actually gets leveraged about 90% of the time, even if our enterprise customers really didn't have a defined need for it. That's something you can very quickly turn on, configure a really high-level segment in Magento, and start reaping the benefits almost immediately. That's a great question.
All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Moving along, is there a published list of APIs?
There is, yeah. So if you actually navigate our newly redesigned DevDocs portal, we're actually on a daily basis adding all kinds of new development information. So this is something historically that Magento didn't put a lot of resources into because it was somewhat of a new thing that we were introducing. But as you see with the addition of Magento 2.0, our DevDocs portal has all of the APIs well defined using a Swagger technology, and then also you're going to find a lot more additional functionality that you maybe didn't see with the 1.x platform. You're going to see installation guides. You're going to see reference points for the new SaaS-based CSS solution. You're going to see all kinds of development knowledge base entries that allow our developers to really quickly get familiar with the Magento 2 system very quickly. That's all available at devdocs.magento.com. Finally, what I would actually suggest everybody on the call does is actually start to take a look at our user guide. One exciting thing that we did is we actually converted the PDF version of the user guide previously to an all-new web-based, highly searchable, highly updated version of the user guide. So this is something even I use probably on a daily basis. And any sort of feature functionality that you're looking to understand how it works in Magento or even implement in your community or enterprise site, the new user guide online is incredibly easy to use, and it's actually got a lot more information than it did previously. So I'd highly urge everybody on the call to maybe check that out as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
Sure.
Next question, how does the upcoming change to using SAS in a future version affect merchants that will be launching soon with the less phase?
Sorry, I broke up there, but it sounds like the question was people are using less, but they're going to be using SAS going forward?
Correct.
Yeah, so Magento has consolidated into one particular platform, and at this time I can't recall which one it was, but it's either less or SAS, and that is the intended path going forward. We're not going to interrupt that. So if it is less currently, it will be less going forward.
All right. Sounds good. The next question, Justin, is the work required to create a new module in Magento 2 similar to that required for Magento 1?
Sorry, getting a little bit of feedback. Can you repeat that one for me, Brian?
Sure. Is the work required to create a new module in Magento 2 similar to that required for Magento 1?
That's a great question. So honestly, it's a lot less work than it was before. So a lot of my experience is with development for the Magento architecture. Been working with the platform as a developer and an architect since about 2008. And what I've noticed, although I don't primarily focus on development anymore, when I went through the development training, I found myself writing a significantly smaller amount of code than I did in Magento 1. So a few things that kind of enable this is just really there's many more entry points into Magento 2 than were Magento 1. You just have a lot cleaner way to start actually introducing your customizations to the system. Another key thing, and this is probably the most relevant here in this question, is just the amount of code duplication. So anybody who's worked with the Magento 1 architecture understood that it was very easy to introduce a new module into Magento, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of code duplication. You know, each individual module had to have a series of XML files. You know, there was a lot that really went into that. But going forward, as you go through the Magento 2 development training and you start to introduce your own Magento 2 customization, I think you'll find, just like I did, there's a significantly smaller amount of code needed to actually create the same effect. And that's really just from an optimization of the architecture. Development in general has been kind of going a particular trend, if you will, and Magento is just following suit and creating the best-in-breed development platform for our merchants. So in a nutshell, I would say you could expect a pretty good decrease in overall code needed, which typically leads to a lower development time. One other thing I'll throw out there, too, because it is relevant to this conversation, is just the introduction of test-driven code. So this was something that was relatively difficult to do with the Magento 1 platform. But now that it's completely integrated and you have all these unit tests and these test harnesses that you can actually create or actually leverage in your testing, another thing that I found is I was actually spending less time actually introducing code into the system like we talked about before, but then when I was actually testing that code, a lot of that was more automated, and I was actually spending much less time in something like an xdebug or trying to find the exact point in which a value was updated or something like that in the execution flow. So that's another relevant thing to throw out there as well. I've seen that work to a pretty great advantage so far in my development process.
Sounds good. Justin, where would you recommend the best place to get training on writing modules?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I would highly recommend, and I speak from personal experience here, I would highly recommend our Magento U courses. So this is something we've put a lot of effort into and a lot of resource into to really make sure that, especially as our Magento 1 developers start to familiarize themselves with the Magento 2 design pattern, it really is an outstanding place to get started. We offer a lot of different options. The most commonly used is probably an on-demand training, which is really video-based. We also offer, instructor-led. So this could be via a webinar, or, if you actually have a team of developers in-house, and let's say you guys are, Magento 1 partners, and you guys want to really get, hone your skills with the Magento 2 platform, it's highly recommended to just attend some of those webinars, or even have one of our instructors come out. They're really going to walk you through the basics to all the way to executing rather complex customizations. So in my experience, that really is the best way to get started, and I have been through all those courses, and even me with a lot of development experience in Magento still found them incredibly relevant and really engaging. So the only other option I would say that might be worth looking into, especially if you're more of a do-it-yourself kind of person, which I definitely can be that person as well. Again, our DevDocs portal. So we put a lot of information into that. And although it's not going to be video instructor-led, we have a lot more information there that really help you get started with how to actually introduce a new customization to Magento. And for example, there's a lot of reference points to Magento 1. So if you were used to making a module in this way in Magento 1, here's a few of the differences, and here's a few of the things that you could actually expect to reduce your overall development time. So we've really done a great job of introducing that in our DevDocs portal. So quite a few different options to explore there, but I would probably recommend very highly the Magento U training courses. They're very well done.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Justin. All right, so that is it. I don't see any other questions, but I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and if you'd like to learn more, if you have additional questions, please email demo@magento.com, and we'll schedule some further webinars. As Justin mentioned, we do have a weekly public demo catered to our B2C audience. So I appreciate everyone's time. This now concludes the webinar. Have a great day.